You think that everything that you just spent your last 20, 30, maybe just 10, and maybe just 4 recent grads, I'm talking to you. You think that's all down the drain? Well, if you're a personal trainer or you're a health coach, I'm talking to you. This episode is just for you, and I call bullshit. You're listening to the Voice for Fitness Professionals podcast, and I'm Deborah Atkinson. And this is the middle of COVID-19. So right now, as I record this, we're about 4 months into it, 3.5, 4 months. It's all a blur right now, isn't it? Kind of feels surreal, although feels very real for some of you who are realizing that it might have been okay to be on the couch, not working, earning money, or earning unemployment for a while. But for those of you trainers who actually love your job, who want to be training, who want to be serving people, it's not fun anymore and we're over it. This episode is all heart and it's more than a little frustration. So I want you to bear with me. Before we get started though, I want you to know that this episode is brought to you by the Flipping 50 Fitness Specialist. And we've had a surge of more people, more women specifically, getting started on the Flipping 50 Fitness Specialist because they completely understand it's women between 45 and 60 who are actually reaching out, who still are looking for solutions and ways that they can exercise safely at home or in gyms right now. And if you serve women in that market right now who have a need, not just for balancing their hormones, but for a strong immune system, you know that they absolutely need a completely different exercise prescription right now than they did when they were in their 20s and than they did in January of 2020 because they have a very different set of problems. For more information, you can look at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/programs to learn more. All right, let's dive in. So right now, you're going to get both barrels. If you think right now that your education and all that time that you put into learning how to be a trainer, how to be a health coach is a waste of time or it's down the drain, you, my friend, are pretending you're a victim. And before you think, okay, that's it, I'm done, not listening to this anymore, hang on. You are not a victim. I'm going to help you get scrappy and get creative and get optimistic so that you can get the mindset that you need in order to be creative and a little less stressed. So you're not a victim if you choose not to be. And that is, you have to get creative. I know people who will survive, people who are truly personal trainers. They understand they weren't just somebody who had a job. If you think about what you do and what I do and how I've done it for 36 years, it's problem solving. We solve problems. You can solve problems on the telephone. You can solve problems via FaceTime. You can solve problems via Skype or using Zoom. People have problems, and you can still solve them today, just like you could in January of 2020 and in July of 2019 and any other moment since personal training's been in existence. You can use any combination of those online tools, but those are just the platforms. It doesn't change the way you relate to somebody. If you can only deliver your services by demonstrating them in person, then you may be in need of improving your communication skills. How well can you articulate, either in your voice by speaking it and giving excellent cues, or by writing it, or speak it, have it transcribed? So let's say you are an excellent instructor. You can cue. You can tell somebody how to do something, where to feel it, where not to feel it, and how to correct their movement. With the excellent articulation of your instructions alone, you can do all that. No one took that away from you. Corona didn't take that away from you. If you can do that speaking, you could simply transcribe it so it's written. By the way, that's how I wrote this episode. You have minimal editing to do that. That's exactly what I did with this episode. I created it while I was on a walk. I was talking into my phone, having it transcribed onto Otter, and they do a pretty good job. I spent 3 or 4 minutes editing this whole script before. Now I'm using those notes to literally record it where I had better sound. Every episode, maybe you didn't know this, is also a blog post where the show notes are housed on the site. So the transcription has timestamps. I can leave it if I want to. You can create a checklist, a description that accompanies a video of yourself. Now you have a product to sell. Do you see how easy this is to suddenly be an online business? So the benefit here is that you do that not just to one client, one time, 1 hour at a time. You can sell one thing you make one time over and over and over. That's only if you're open to possibilities. And if you're really somebody who's passionate, not just about getting dressed up in your Lululemons and being in a position where you're in front of a mirror on a stage, then you can do this. Are you a problem solver? Are you really somebody who's in this because you love to help people? Be honest. Is this really what you love to do, or do you love the attention? It's time to get really honest. I don't care what the answer is, but I think you want to search that in your own soul, because if you lack motivation right now and you think there's no other opportunities, right now there's never been a greater need for exercise. Safe, sane, simple exercise people can do at home, but they don't know what to do, so they need some guidance. And you have dozens of ways to provide it. So if you're really about problem solving, then you're not seeing this corona, COVID, whatever you want to call it, as a huge obstacle. After more than 3 months, it's a reason to get creative. This is when the cream rises to the top. Cliche as that sounds, it's true. People who really are problem solvers, who really are intent on delivering service to someone who needs it, they know that this is a business model. If there's enough people with enough similar problems, and they're actively searching for solutions, and they have money to spend, so you've got to get that message through to yourself, by the way, that not everybody is not spending money. Some people are sending checks like for $7,500 through the mail. Trust me, I know this. There's always going to be a business model for trainers and for health coaches and for fitness instructors who are excellent at communication. As long as they don't get stuck, as long as you don't get stuck thinking there's only one model of delivery, pick up your telephone and call those people who you had been helping. They still have problems. They still need them solved. But the problem somebody has in June and July and August of 2020 and beyond that, sounds like for a year potentially during COVID-19, are that their problems are different than the problems that they had in January and February of 2019 or in 2018 for that matter. So if you've been a trainer for a while and you're stuck thinking the gym is closed that you work for, or it's open but clients aren't coming in, they're not feeling safe coming back, then you really don't have a problem. You have opportunities because your gym isn't serving people. So you have two options. If you are working for a gym, you either approach the owner or the manager and suggest that collectively as a team, you begin to deliver service in virtual or digital ways, by phone, by Skype, by FaceTime, by Zoom, or by a combination of those things with products or with single sessions. But why create the same problem that as trainers we had before Corona? You had a problem that you only had so much time and that you couldn't fill all of your day. Why create the same problem? Why not create programs, products that are online? People can access at their convenience so that you can sell them and have created them with one effort. You can creatively serve and solve problems. And you got to remember that this is an opportunity. This may actually make you a better trainer. If you're thinking, what? Bear with me. If what you've been doing in sessions has been more about simply accountability or entertainment, and I don't, by the way, discount accountability, because for some people that's 90% of it, but you can still do that in every virtual way that I've just described. You can also be a better problem solver. So a blind person, it's said, has a heightened awareness and use of every other one of their senses. They can smell, they can taste, they can feel with their fingers better than they could, better than sighted people, because they're forced to. And when you no longer are simply able to entertain or show up, when you're no longer distracted by everything else going on in the gym, by everything else that a client might be talking to you about, or that you might be excited to talk to them about, like what happened to you last night or last weekend, or what you're looking forward to tomorrow or next weekend, and they've done this weekend and the next. You know, it's part of a conversation as you build rapport with your customers. But sometimes that becomes the conversation, right? Sometimes, to the extent that your training is actually overshadowed by the need for a social life for your client and maybe for you. If you think about it, we all spend a lot of time at work, more time than we spend in our own homes, sometimes with our own families, and sometimes we can get confused and the boundaries get blurred. When you take yourself to digital delivery, your other senses will improve. You'll become a better problem solver. So rather than thinking about a creative workout for your client, what you'll be doing more of is creating a workout that solves problems of that unique client. And when there's one individual who has those problems, there's another one. And there's maybe 10. And maybe there's dozens and hundreds or thousands. And that's where you really give birth to a business model. If one client has lower back issues, if one client has a lack of mobility, solving those kinds of problems then becomes something you can sell to the masses. Now you have a business model based on problem and solution, not based on personality, not based on you being a big fish in a teeny tiny little pond of a town. The world is at your fingertips and you are at theirs. This isn't based on popularity now, and it never should have been. Not based on a single client meeting you for a single hour. There's an opportunity right now that has never been better for trainers who can see it. And if you're willing to do the work, you may have a learning curve, but it doesn't take much to learn to turn on your FaceTime. It doesn't take much to learn how to record a training session on your phone that you then can put in a library, not just for one client, for many clients. To get started, as soon as you're willing to open up your mind to the fact that the strong will survive, that's your creed, those willing to do the work, who really have a passion, and that platform inside of a gym is only one way to look at things. Don't wait to become better. Certainly don't wait and worry. You can grow and be bigger and really have a business that's sustainable, potentially, than where you were before, where you have more revenue than you have expenses. Wouldn't that be nice? So create products that people want because they solve problems. So there's additional opportunities you may not be thinking about too. One of the other opportunities that you've got in front of you is thinking about what you do know that other trainers and other health coaches need to know. Are there things that you can teach them that they otherwise wouldn't acquire on their own, or that it would take years for them to acquire, that you can accelerate their progress in? Can you accelerate or amplify the reach they have by teaching them new skills, making them more attractive to more people? use your skills and apply them to their special niche or market. For example, so a trainer works with young student athletes. Maybe it's high school, maybe it's college. It's those that want scholarships, pending we open back up. At some point, we will. But those students right now may not be working with coaches, and they won't necessarily be doing team workouts. And those students who have motivation and they have the programming that can get them ahead will. So they'll survive potentially and thrive to be the ones who stayed consistent and not waiting for things to blow over. So can you teach? Can you teach another trainer how to use the skills you have? So maybe it's back pain prevention is a special power you have. You can go deep in that. Who doesn't need that, right? Specifically, athletes need it, and so you know how to teach that and offer it to trainers. And you can also teach it to trainers who work with older adults, males or females. You could teach it to trainers who do specifically golf conditioning, and back issues are common among golfers. So think about all the populations that you might choose to teach your special sauce to, and the packaging and what they need to know. So then you've got two different revenue streams coming in. That kind of product or service that you can offer to serve your customers virtually on any virtual digital platform. And you've got the same type of delivery system and platforms available to you to teach trainers. And generally, when you're teaching it to a trainer who's going to be then teaching it to multiple consumers, you can charge more. The value of that product is greater. Remember, it's now and it always has been about the transformation for the client. What's the value of that? So that may be a revenue stream you want to look into. If you're feeling like other things and other methods of increasing or just earning revenue have closed their doors, other doors have opened. You're just not looking at them. You're seeing the problem. And you've got to get to the handle of those other doors and try to turn it. Don't assume that a closed door is locked. And there you have it. That is my tough love for today, because you're not a victim. The world still needs you. They're just not willing to get it potentially in the same way you've been delivering it for years and decades. So if you're truly a trainer at heart, not just superficially, not just when there's an audience, but you really are a problem solver, then there's a lot of opportunity for you, because a lot of others will be going away. The show notes and the resources will be at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/BS.